Hey, what's going on, everybody? I hope you guys are having a good day. Give me 1 second. I'm going to get set up here. Um, what's going on, guys? What's going on? What's going on? I'm Dr. Boyce Watkins from the Black Business School and Your Black World, and I'm hanging out here. It's late at night, but I just finished watching a really good movie, and I thought that it would be worth kind of talking about it a little bit. And I can give you my 2 cents on, what I thought about it, and how I thought it played out, from a cinematic point of view as well as a cultural point of view. I see some of you are coming in from the outside world, so I want to greet you guys. Do me a favor. Um, Go ahead and shout out your city. I'd like to see what cities you guys come from. And also, what's going on? I see Jennifer Nicole. Who else do I see? I see Black Butterfly Shauna, Shauna ATN, one of my favorite people. Oh my God, such a smart Black woman. Rodney Barnes, Herbert Whitehead, Nicole Leona Tidwell, Brandon Burkett, Lisa Durham, Veronica Ahmed from ATL, David Hill from Chicago, Troy Nash, Ella, Joanna, Talisa from Fort Wayne. Let's see, Joanna's from Seatown. I guess that's Seattle. That's what's up. I love that. Okay, so yeah, so let me tell you guys what I did tonight. I went to finally do what everybody's been asking me if I did. By the way, as I mentioned this, I want you guys, if you can, if you're on social media, make sure you take a second, hit the like button, the share button, subscribe button, and also make comments if you're on Facebook and hit the hearts. You can just hit the heart over and over again if you want to, your thumbs up or whatever it is, and that brings attention to the feed. The Facebook algorithm brings people into the live stream if you're talking about it, if you're chatting it up. So feel free to just tap away at the heart button and the likes and the thumbs up and all that, so people will know that we're here and know that we're having an intelligent Black conversation. Because as you know, our goal is always to elevate the discussion and to take Blackness to a level that is PhD level, that is Wakanda level. Because as you know, the people in Wakanda and the Black Panther were smart people. They were technologically advanced. They weren't trying to play catch up. They weren't hoping for equality. They weren't trying to get caught up with the rest of the world. They were actually ahead of the rest of the world, right? That's so I like that. I like that, right? I kind of feel like when you have really strong, liberated, intelligent Black people that are highly skilled and highly motivated, you really have a Wakanda on earth. You have a real life Wakanda. And I'll tell you what, when I was one thing that resonated with me about this movie was that I remember when I was trying to get my PhD, and I remember thinking to myself, there aren't that many people on this earth that have a PhD in finance. There aren't that many people that I've never met anybody who's done that. I didn't meet my first Black professor until I was 20 years old, and when I met him, I thought he was the janitor, to be honest with you, because I was like, why are you in Dr. Whitler's office? And he said, I am Dr. Whitler. And that didn't make any sense to me. I said, wait a minute, you're a Black man. This doesn't make any sense. And that was how warped my thinking was, because I'd never seen that. So to me, getting education, being an educated Black man, and reading books like Black Labor, White Wealth by Dr. Paul Anderson, and learning my history and learning more outside of the school system than I learned within the school system was really my own battle, my own struggle for strength, my own struggle for freedom. And so if you really look at this movie, it's like, I mean, there's so many parallels to life that can be drawn from this, but I really think if you're going to gain inspiration from the film, gain inspiration from the fact that when you are the best, when you are the smartest, when you are the hardest working, when you build the wealth, when you make the moves, when you put together industry, when you're developing your community, you do become like a Wakanda. You do become people that gain what I call sovereignty, which is something that Black people are not accustomed to. One of the reasons that you love the movie so much, in my opinion, just my 2 cents, is that this makes you think about what could be if we work together, what could be if we put ourselves ahead of the curve. I mean, this stuff is real. This stuff can happen in real life, not the technology and the ships and all. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about where you know that you can walk in a room full of white people and know you're the smartest person in the room. I know that feeling. I know that feeling every day of my life. I made sure that that was going to happen. That's why when I was in my PhD program, I studied 10 hours a day, because I said I want to be an intellectual Black belt where anybody who tests me or challenges me, I can take them out. And I achieved that goal. And the thing is, it's tough to do. Anything that's worth having is going to be tough to obtain. But but when you do it, it makes you feel so strong, makes you feel so great. You really get to control your environment. You're no longer a product of your environment. Your environment becomes a product of you. So let me dig deeper into this movie in terms of more analogies. I'm gonna say this, just starting off point blank period. Ryan Coogler, hats off to you, man. You made probably one of the greatest movies in all of cinematic history. Let me start with that comment there for the people, you know, for the one-dimensional thinkers in the crowd who only want to, who think you either love something or you hating on it. Just know I am a lover, not a hater when it comes to the greatness of this film. So I'm not a person. So if I say something where I point out a critique or I point out something that that I want to talk about a little deeper, it's not me hating. See, that's the problem. We must elevate our thinking. We can't be a people that think, oh, well, either you love it or you hate it. Either you team Killmonger or you team T'Challa. No, how about you be team black people? How about we can't just all be team Black Panther? Like, just love the movie, right? You can love the movie in a simple, simplistic sort of way. You can also love it in a complex way. And one of the things I will say from the jump is that if you're going to learn something from a movie, which again, I think we have to be very careful about this idea of taking fantasy and making it real. That's one of the vulnerabilities of Black people, is that entertainment sucks you in. There are studies that show that Black people watch more entertainment than anybody else in this country, and they use that against you. So you must be cautious about absorbing a story to the point where you feel like it's overly real, but at the same time, you can sometimes gain inspiration from a story, just same way white folks gain inspiration from Rocky. Every time they play, white people go crazy. They think they're going to go whoop somebody's ass, right? And so ultimately, you know, it's like, it's okay to gain inspiration from a movie. In fact, I just looked down here and I just saw, I have to just take my hat off a minute, because I just saw my homeboy just popped in here, Mr. Mark Harris, who is one of the great Black filmmakers in this country. If you don't know about Mark Harris, you need to go look him up. Mark Harris made a great movie. I'd heard people talking about how great this movie was. It was called Black Coffee. And I believe it was called Black Coffee. I hope I got it right. If you haven't seen Black Coffee, make sure you see Black Coffee. Mark, if you're in there, if you're chatting, please list some more of your movies, man. I wish I could name more of your work. But Black Coffee stuck with me. And I went to watch this movie because I told one of my friends, I said, I need to see this. I've been hearing great things about it. So I watched it, and this movie literally flipped everything on its head to me, because I remember thinking, wait a minute, a movie isn't supposed to end like this. Wait, all the Black people get along at the end? Wait, oh yeah, now she's coming in, she's gonna snatch her weave off. Oh, wait, you mean they're friends? Like they actually talked it out and resolved the dispute? Well, what the hell kind of movie is this? Right? Because we're not used to that. We're used to Black people trying to kill each other. We're used to African Americans thinking of other African Americans as their mortal enemies. So Black Coffee just kind of kills all of that, right? It kills every stereotype you can think of. They kill it. And in the end, they find resolution and productive resolution. I said, oh my God, this is beautiful. And then all through the film, see, you know, if you know anything about films, you know that the writers, they speak through their characters. If they have something they want to share, a message or whatever, they'll put it through their characters. And so I'm listening to the characters talk, and I heard one of the brothers say something like, well, you know, a man has to have his own business if he wants to be successful. I said, who is the director of this movie? I need to find out who made this movie. I didn't know Mark made the movie. I said, look, we'll find out who the director is, because I feel like this director could be a friend of mine. This sounds like something I would say. This sounds like that me and him been listening to the same stuff. We've been studying the same stuff. And I looked it up and I found out, check this out, I'm not kidding. It turned out Mark Harris literally lived blocks from my house. And I looked him up and I tried to find him, and he said, yeah, man. He said, I'm on your Facebook page, and I comment on your Facebook page, but you never comment back. I said, man, I'm always comment back now, because my hat's off to you, and I'm bowing to the throne, because what you just did on screen, brother, is one of the great cinematic masterpieces that I've ever seen. So I put Mark Harris right up there with the Ryan Cooglers of the world, because this is kind of the future. You know, this is what we deserve. This is the kind of entertainment that we're going to get in, you know, as time goes on. I think that, you know, really, I feel like this film was just another bash against cinematic coonery. I think that that the film was just so well done. It was so beautifully done. You know, a few observations I make on the film. And again, I'm not sitting here trying to say that it's perfect in every way. I'm sure there's a million ways you can critique it and break it down and chop it up. And I actually will point out a couple of those. I'm going to go to bed pretty soon, so I can't. Because I got to actually get up and run early, but I want to sort of chop out a few things that I noticed in the film. I just had to talk about it right away, because I figured I'd talk about while it's fresh in my brain. First and foremost, one of my observations was that I was really impressed with the way they made the story a very African-American story. The way they sort of wired in, you know, Oakland, 1992, they wired in oppression, they wired in the drugs and everything else. They kind of tied that back to, you know, to sort of what we are as African-Americans, right? We're kind of this group of people that we're kind of sold out. We were sold out by other Africans, and next thing you know, we're in the middle of this hell. And so, unfortunately, we lost a lot of our chance to be human. We lost our humanity in many cases, because when it comes to that oppression, you either have to succumb to it, which makes you less than human, or you have to overcome it by being as inhumane as your oppressor. So to me, what Killmonger represented was, I felt him. I have been there with him, because that rage you feel as a man when other men are hurting you and dominating you in that way, it makes you literally want to be in a position where you're thinking, okay, this is the way the world works. You either kill or you get killed. And we can't imagine a world where everybody lives. We can't imagine a world that's built on the kind of abundance and the richness that you might have in Africa, where all the resources were everywhere. So there's no reason to go kill somebody in order to get food, because there's plenty of food. There's no reason to kill somebody to get land, because there's plenty of land. And so whereas the European mindset obviously is one that where the Germans were slaughtering the French by the thousands, the French were slaughtering, the Russians are slaughtering, the Jews and the Polish and all this other stuff. So they're used to that. They're used to that mindset. And when you're oppressed with people that think that way, sometimes you feel that you have to behave that way in order to overcome the oppression. So really, I thought that Killmonger's character, he represented a lot of what you see in superhero movies. If you watch a lot, now here's the thing, here's another reason why I like the movie. I have to tell you guys this too. Not only am I a black man, but I'm a big fan of all the Marvel Cinematic Universe films. Like I go see them all. I go see Thor, Iron Man, Captain America, the Avengers, all of that. I was doing that long before they even started letting black, making movies that were solely, with large black casts. And I feel like this movie, really reflected what I see in a lot of these movies, where the villain isn't just sort of pure evil. Right? He's just evil enough where you feel you question usually the villain to me is a person that decides that the ends justifies the means, right? The villain is the guy who says something like, I believe in protecting the environment. New York City's polluting and destroying the environment. So if we blow up all of New York City, then we can save the environment, right? So that's what a villain kind of does. A villain is not always a horribly bad person. Remember that part in the film where T'Challa's father said, "You something." I gotta go look at it again. But he said something about you're a good man, and a good man isn't always a good king, or something like that. And Thor's father said the same thing. Thor's father said, "You're gonna be a great king, but I'd rather you be a great man." Or he said something like that. Now, what does that mean? It means that to me, my interpretation of that statement is that the king sometimes has to make really hard decisions. The king has to make a decision where the good outweighs the bad. The king has to decide, okay, we're going to kill 1,000 people so we can save 10,000. Whereas a good man says, no, we don't want to kill anybody, right? So the superhero is rarely, in my opinion, a good king, because the superhero is the one who wants to save everybody's life and won't let one person die to save a million. Whereas not the villain, but the king says that one death is it is what it is. But as long as we're saving these other people over here, right? So, my dad in my household, I remember my dad, he was like a person that's a good king. My dad's a person that, if he was in a warlike situation and he thought that somebody down the street was going to come hurt his family, he would go blow up the whole house. Babies, I'm not going to put that on my daddy, but he would blow up the enemy's house just to make sure they didn't hurt his family, right? So ultimately, some people will say that that's a pragmatic way of dealing with life, that the world is not a wonderful, sweet, happy place, and that you have to do what you got to do. So honestly, I felt like Killmonger's character, I mean, a lot of people identify with him, and that's kind of what happens in all the superhero movies, especially like Spider-Man. Spider-Man really does that. Most of the time, the villain in Spider-Man is a good dude, like he's a good person. And then, like at the end, like right when Spider-Man's about to throw him off a cliff or something, he'll finally like have a moment where he's like, I just did it because they took my little girl, and and you feel bad for him. Then he dies, right? And so I thought that the complexity of the Killmonger character, it's to be expected. I think it's okay to identify with him. It's really interesting because it also reminded me of X-Men. If you watch X-Men, X-Men ain't nothing but Malcolm versus Martin. That's all X-Men is. And every time I watch an X-Men movie, I always identify with the villain. I always think, like a lot of these movies, I'm the guy that goes into these movies a lot of times, and I'll be thinking the superhero's a pussy. He's a complete pussy because they want him to do stupid things to show mercy to people that would never show mercy to him. They, like Batman will never use a gun. Like, why not? Why not? Sometimes you need a gun, Batman. They're going to shoot your ass. get a gun, right? Or Superman never kills anybody. Well, you know what? There's a whole lot of people trying to kill you. So maybe again, maybe I'm not a good enough person, but when I watch X-Men, X-Men's interesting. Go watch the X-Men movies because they're very well done. But also, basically, you have the guy, what's his face? I forget his name, the MLK type character, the bald headed dude who wants to integrate with these people who hate him and kumbaya his way out of everything. Whereas you have the other dude who's like the Malcolm. He's like, man, screw these people. Do you see what they doing to our people? Do you see what they did? Like they came up in your house and murdered everybody. Like, why would you defend these people? And he's like, let's go get them all. We got the power. We can take them all out. And you're like, yeah, we got the power. Let's go get them. You know, but and so it ends up kind of becoming like just basically divide and conquer all over again, right? Because you've got these oppressive forces. Everybody's being oppressed in this particular group. In the X-Men movies, they're all mutants, but really you might as well say they're all niggas. Like, it's really the same. I mean, it's the same shit we deal with, right? So you got a bunch of mutants who are all being treated like niggas, and they got the mutants that want to integrate and the mutants that want to kill they want to fight back, right? And so the bad guy represents the mutants who want to fight back. The good guy represents the mutants that somehow believe that there's hope in humanity and that they want to wait for, they want to sort of, you know, take whatever they're dealing with or take whatever they're getting. And really, in real life, I personally think that there's not much merit to that sort of like kumbaya approach, because really in America, for example, when you look at black people and the oppression we're dealing with, we're kind of dealing with really savage people. We're dealing with people that oppress us that are not, and this is why so many people identify with Killmonger, in my opinion. They don't really see, the thing is that your oppressor isn't, you know, isn't the kind of man who really shows much mercy. Like he's never shown any mercy to you, and he never will, and he considers that to be a weakness, right? So if they can get you like, you know, to have a soul and be praying to Jesus and all this other stuff, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that, but if they get you all in this like, can't we love each other and overcome type of mood, then they'll be like, oh, now I got it. Now you're laying still so I can chop your head off. Like, that's really kind of like, if you look at the Native Americans, like look at what the Native Americans, white men get off the Mayflower. Native Americans like, oh, you cold? Let us get you a blanket. Oh, you hungry? Let us get you some food. Oh, you need shelter? Come stay with us. The first chance they got, they killed everybody, right? They killed them all. They were like, oh, well, we're going to take all your stuff. So again, it's just an ideological difference. I'm not saying that T'Challa's approach was screwed up or anything, but I mean, I think a lot of people were like in that theater like, Killmonger has a point. He has a point. Now, what they did with him is what they do with a lot of villains in these movies, is they kind of made him like a little too evil, right? They made him a little too destructive for you to really ride with him all the time. Like he, you know, like so a lot of times the villain will do something that's like he'll violate something sacred, like the way he grabbed the old lady and held her up, you know, by her neck and then killed her because she wouldn't burn the flowers. Like, then you're like, oh, come on, you can't choke Big Mama. Like, why are you choking Big Mama? Like, that ain't nice. And then, you know, he stabbed the old Forrest Whitaker dude, you know, the sacred ritual guy, you know, and they're like, oh no, he stabbed Forrest Whitaker. Oh, how do you do that? His lazy eye is twitching. Like, that ain't cool, right? So they always make the guy just like too evil for you to really identify with him. But if you take away that, like, I think he's really identifiable. And hold on, let me turn this off. I am echoing big time, so let me figure out why I'm echoing. Okay. All right, I'm done echoing. All right, so I turned this off. By the way, do me a favor. Make sure you hit the like button, share button, subscribe button. If you're on YouTube or Facebook or anywhere else, please make sure you subscribe. I go live every day on my YouTube channel, or my Facebook page, actually, at facebook.com/Dr. Boyce Watkins. We go live about 2 p.m. Eastern, unless I have to change the schedule. So, and even if you show up late, you can go ahead and just watch the recording like later on in the day, because the recordings stay up there on the page all day. So what are some other things I noticed? What I really liked about this film, I thought they did a really good job with this. Hats off to Ryan once again for not really making this a complete black on black thing. Like, I think that he understands that black folks take movies really seriously. Probably more than we should, to be honest with you. Like, I don't think black folks were really watching this like the way you watch Iron Man or Superman or Thor. Like, you know, like, okay, you got the good guy, the bad guy, the good guy kills the bad guy used to be his homeboy, and now they're enemies, and now they fight to the death. Like I don't think black folks saw it that way. I think a lot of people, because again, I think African Americans, unfortunately, like Eric Killmonger, I think our oppression in many ways has really fucked us up. I mean, it really makes us like really like, you know, like destructive sometimes. So, you know, I like the fact that they were smart enough to not make this a film all about black on black destruction, but at the same time, we were allowed to be human enough to realize that we're going to have ideological differences. So you did have black people fighting, but it wasn't sort of a destructive thing. It was just like, okay, you know, I'm rolling with this group and I believe in this. You're rolling with that group. You believe in that. White folks do it all the time. You go to Europe, you had the communists fighting against the fascists, and, you know, white folks killing white folks, and it happens, right? But at the same time, with the two main characters, they at the end, there was still sort of this mercy that the main character showed toward the villain, and the villain sort of, he sort of acknowledged his pain, the pain that made him want to do what he did, right? And he acknowledged the pain he felt as a little boy when he was abandoned. You know, it kind of made you sad, right? Because a lot of us understand that. You know, I thought when I see that, I'm thinking about, you know, my God, what would have happened if my father had died in my arms and I had to live with that my whole life? I'd probably be ready to kill everything moving, right? So you can understand this, right? And what I really loved was the fact that they allowed them at the end to kind of reconcile. You know, like the Panther still showed mercy. He said, "I can heal you." And the brother made the strongest statement at the end where he said, you know, just bury me in the ocean with my ancestors who came over on slave ships. That was a great, or who knew that dying, you know, that jumping overboard was better than living a life of slavery. I don't have the exact quote, but you know what I'm talking about. And I thought that was powerful. It was awesome. And I think that what it did also, which was great, was it didn't walk away with a clean cut black or white, good and evil kind of layout. It was, you know, a scenario where the king, or T'Challa, knew, like, he had anger and self-criticism of his own people for what they did to this young man to turn him into a monster. Right now, how many times do you see so many of our kids? I remember giving speeches on this topic when actually we used to have this program we did called BOMB, Building Outstanding Men and Boys. And the reason I did this program was because I said, when you look at our community and you look at how many monsters there are out here, guys, you know, in wife beaters talking about, I'll kill every nigga within, you know, on this block, you know, right? And they're responding with this pain, just like Terry Williams said in her book, hurt people, right? So ultimately, these hurt people hurt other people. And you know that this is a product of things we either have or have not done. And I said, so for example, I tell the story of this kid who got arrested because he got mad. He got in a fight with his neighbor, and he went to the house, and he was trying to prove that he was a tough guy. He's a 21-year-old wannabe thug. So he comes over, literally in a wife beater, with his gun, and he pop, shoots the gun, shoots bullets straight into the house, right? Just shoots into the house, doesn't care who's in the house. Well, there was 8 kids inside the house playing, and the 3-year-old got shot in the head and died. And I said, you know, when I heard this story, I cried, not just for the 3-year-old, that's painful enough, but I said, this kid wasn't nothing but 18, 19, 20 years old. It wasn't that long ago when he was a little 3-year-old. It wasn't that long ago when he was in preschool. It wasn't that long ago when he was a little daycare child who could have been anything. He loved everyone. He trusted everybody. And I said, and every time that the world had a chance to lift him up, they squashed his soul. Every time they had a chance to make him happy, they gave him pain. Every time they had a chance to take him in their arms, they neglected this child to the point where he'd gone through so much pain that his heart was made of stone, and he didn't care about pulling out a gun and shooting a clip full of bullets or into a house full of children. Right. So ultimately, what this movie kind of did, which I thought was brilliant, was, you know, the Black Panther guy, T'Challa. I know I'm going to mispronounce his name. Y'all got to help me pronounce it right. But the brother who played the Black Panther, you know, he acknowledged, he said, he's a monster, but we made this monster. We did this because we did him wrong. And to me, that paralleled a couple of things. One, it paralleled kind of Africa, right? The fact that many African nations owe African Americans reparations for the fact that they sold us to white folks. Many African nations, you know, those governments owe Black people reparations, right? And then on top of that, what it also makes me think about is, it makes me think about, like, maybe the bougie Negro who has a connection to the hood, but he left the hood and abandoned the hood and kind of left all this pain and despair behind. And so the people from the hood are coming back like, wait, you know, like, you owe us. Like, what the hell? Like, why would you do this to us? You know, why would you sort of Dr. Dre or some rapper, why would you grow up in the hood, sell the hood to the world, make all this money selling your street cred from the hood and then not give back to the hood, just abandon the hood. Like, so ultimately, I think that's kind of what I was really picking up. And what I liked was that the main character, he was able to engage in self-criticism as a result of what he learned from the so-called villain, from Killmonger. Also, on top of that, he changed his behavior as a result of Killmonger's actions. If you notice at the end, he went back to the hood. He went back to that building where you know, his father killed his uncle and where the little Killmonger kid grew up. And he said, we're going to share our technology. Where did he learn that from? He got that from his enemy. He got that from the guy that he just had to kill in order to protect his village. So ultimately, I thought that was beautiful. And what it reminded me of also was, it reminded me of a time when I was sitting there talking to, I got a chance one time to talk to Louis Farrakhan for 3 hours. It was me and him, and my manager at the time was in the room, but it was me and him having a conversation. We talked for 3 straight hours. And one of the things that the minister said that I thought was really helpful, because it helped me a lot, because we were both talking about, I said, you know, I referenced a time where he had said that Black people are hard people to lead, you know, and because sometimes they'll just come at you, and sometimes it's nasty and it's mean. And I said, how do you manage that? And he said, he said, Dr. Watkins, he said, you can actually learn from your critics. He said that he talked about a critic he had a long time ago. They used to tear at him. He said, he says, she used to tear at me something terrible. And he said, but I learned from what she said, you know? And so ultimately, I like that. I like the fact that he learned from his critic. He didn't just say, oh, he's crazy, or go kill him. He actually, you know, changed his behavior. He grew as a result of being challenged, you know, in a multitude of ways. His ideas were being challenged. He was being challenged for the throne. You got threw him off the cliff. But so ultimately, I think that the main character, even though I don't identify as much with him as I might identify with the Killmonger guy, I can say though that one thing that you can say about the Black Panther, the main character, is that he shows that there is strength in mercy. There is strength in love. There is strength in the ability to love your enemy and to try to hear their point of view, right? There is strength in even entertaining ideas that are different from your own. So ultimately, we think that strength is just straight Killmonger. Like, I'm in pain, everybody gonna be in pain, I'm gonna get revenge, I'm gonna take that sucker out, right? And what that pain does is that pain ultimately is most painful to you. Like when you have, you know, the ugliest emotions you can carry around are jealousy, hate, anger, what is the quest, the hunger for revenge. When you carry that around, you become like him. His body being scaled up was nothing more than a physical manifestation of all the pain that he was feeling inside. His insides were as scaled up as his outsides because he had been carrying this pain with him all throughout his life. So ultimately, I think that there's something that actually, if you want to make it deep, like again, this is a movie where you can either make it shallow or you can make it deep. You make it shallow, then shit. It's a damn good superhero movie, lots of explosions, technology, beautiful imagery, and they add the blackness to it, which is like taking your favorite candy and putting like extra sugar on it. Like we add something special to these movies that white folks were always missing. And I'm glad they finally figured it out. I'm happy for them because now they're gonna find the power in the melanin. But if you make it deep, then you can really see where, you know, Killmonger's character, unfortunately, even though I identify with a Killmonger, I don't know if I want to be a Killmonger. I don't know if I want to feel that way my whole life, where he's literally crying and dying on the inside and in all this pain because of what he went through, right? The other thing that I observed in the film was that I didn't like sort of it's not a criticism, it's just kind of like, you know, like, oh gosh, okay. So you got these Africans, right? The African tribe where everything's peaceful and wonderful and beautiful and abundant and productive. And then you bring this African American in and it's like, oh man, he about to fuck it all up. He about to he about to become Kwame Kilpatrick sitting up in that throne, like where he's like, yeah, I'm the hip hop king. And notice they started playing the hip hop music when he walked in. He walks out, he's got his, you know, his jacket on and his chest is out and he's thinking about all this power he's got and he's gonna go use it to get revenge, to ride on his enemies and everything else. And they're playing the music and then he's going in and he's doing all these disrespectful things to the women. Like I feel like that kind of feeds into that myth of sort of, you know, almost like hip hop culture based toxic Black male masculinity. you ever hear people talk about toxic masculinity? They're really kind of talking about brothers. They talking about the brothers that, you know, like one of my friends said, she had me cracking up. She said, I liked him because he was a real nigga. He was a real nigga. I'm like, yeah, but do we really want to be real niggas, or do we just want to be men, right? I don't really know. I don't know. I don't know how I feel about calling myself a real nigga. But at the same time, it was sort of like, you know, so I felt like there was kind of this sort of, you know, sort of subtle disrespect for the African American, in the sense of kind of saying, like, look at what happens when you bring the niggas in. When you bring the, and it feeds into like that whole idea. There's a lot of, just in case y'all don't know, there are a lot of Africans who don't mess with African Americans because they think African Americans are lazy, unproductive, don't want to work hard, and all this other stuff. Now, of course, that's not true. Some of us are, but some white people are too. Like, you go to any local trailer park, and you will find plenty of white people with one tooth in their mouth, doing all kinds of crazy stuff, having sex with their sister, doing all kinds of ridiculous stuff. But you don't typecast all white people because of what a few white people do. So you can't typecast all black people because of what what you see on TV, right? So ultimately, I think that we kind of have to sort of just respect each other's humanity, and it's wrong to discriminate. But I mean, come on, you can't pretend like there's not something to that stereotype too. Remember that this is the kind of imagery that's being projected of us to the world. This is the imagery that we absorb, that we appreciate the most. Like, we like that stuff, you know, and so I think it kind of detaches us from who we really are and what we're supposed to be. I also, another observation about the film, I'm talking about the film Black Panther, by the way, in case you don't know. I like the way the film had a respect for matriarchal societies. I love the fact that the women, I mean, you know, this movie set trends for superhero movies. I told you, I've seen them all. I watched Batman, Superman, Iron Man, Thor, Captain America, all the Avengers movies, The Incredible Hulk. I watched them all, every last one of them. I don't read comic books. Comic books bore me. I ain't gonna lie. They do. But I love the movies. The movies are awesome. And I don't like DC comic movies because they're too damn deep and boring and dark. And I don't like Marvel's TV stuff like Jessica Jones and all that. It takes too long to get to the point. I want to see some shit blow up. I want to see somebody flying across the sky. I want to see some high tech. I want to see some you know, some special effects. Like that's the kid in me. I've always loved that since I started watching Star Wars. But this movie really, to me, set a trend for all superhero movies in the fact that they really kind of allow the women to really get in there and do their thing. I mean, the women, those warriors, my God, just beautiful, powerful, like they pull out the sword, like they're gonna really mess you up. And I thought that was really dope. I love that a lot. Now, one critique I did hear from a sister that I respect is that, you know, that she felt that they kind of lacked feminine roles. She said, you know, look, most of the women didn't have no hair. They were very masculine. They were built like the dudes, and they were doing science. So she felt, again, this friend is actually a self-identified feminist, and she said that she felt that they were fitting the white female image of feminism by being into science and fighting and all this other stuff. And she felt that there were a lack of feminine roles. And I said, well, who's to say that that can't be feminine, that you're out there fighting with your man? And she said, actually, again, she's pretty smart. And she's, in her definition of femininity, is feminine energy gives life, whereas masculine energy, fighting, destroys life, right? And that was her argument. But then I said, well, you know, you did have some feminine roles where you did have the women who actually nursed the men back to health. Remember, the Black Panther wouldn't have come back to life if it wasn't for his mother, his sister, and his girlfriend. I think that's who it was, who all went out to the hills and like, you know, brought him back and had his back. So they did give life, but maybe that's a criticism. I don't know. It is what it is. I did see some other criticism. Most of the criticisms I've seen, is as far as like, you know, mainstream press, have been things that related more so to, you know, the film being too formulaic. Like, you can predict what's going to happen. You know, there's going to be a big fight at the end, blah, 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 blah. I think another critic said that the film did too much. It tried to be too many things to too many people. It tried to be a little bit of Coming to America, a little bit of Captain America, a little bit of, I forgot, there was another movie they compared it to that was interesting. And I can see that, but, you know, I think that they're just kind of full of it. I think that what Ryan did, not Ryan, I'm sorry. Ryan Coogler, that's right. What Ryan did with this film, in my opinion, is, you know, he really just did his job, and he did it better than anybody else. This film got, you know, it should win an Oscar, or, you know, it really should. Marvel needed him to make their money back. Disney and Marvel, they, you know, they're like, yeah, do your thing, be black, do whatever, but just, you need to make a profit. and he pulled it off in extraordinary fashion. The audiences were wild. They clapped at the end, like in our theater, like they did in every other theater, I'm sure. And I just think that it was a great achievement. I mean, and really the fact that Ryan, I think Ryan and the brother, Michael B. Jordan, have been friends for the longest time, and I think that's got to be super exciting for the two of them as friends to be able to rise to the top of Hollywood like they have, starting with back with Fruitvale Station and all that stuff. That I remember Michael B. Jordan. I don't know if Ryan was the director of that, but I know he was connected to Creed, and so I just think it's great. I mean, I'm really happy for these guys. It was a good movie. I highly recommend it if you haven't seen it. But I do think that there were some, a lot of the parallels that were made in this film, a lot of the way the story was laid out really kind of told me that this was a story that had heavy African American influence. And I feel like they did a good job of really fighting to tell the story they wanted to tell the way they wanted to tell it. And you must give, again, Disney paid the bills. It was a $200 million movie. Black folks, really to this point have not. I think we could finance a $200 million movie on our own. I really believe we could pull that off. But actually, in fact, we're so smart. We could probably do a $200 million movie for $50 million. And Black folks got $50 million. We know we got $50 million because we put 5 times that amount in Disney's pocket in the last week or so. But still, Disney came up with the money. So it's their movie. They have a right to expect certain things to happen. So it's consistent with the Marvel Cinematic Universe. They did their job. They earned their money. And they gave us a great movie at the same time. So my review overall for Black Panther is thumbs up, 2 thumbs up, no reservations. It deserves 100% on Rotten Tomatoes. The movie was damn good. Even if they weren't Black, they could have been all Asian. And me, the superhero Marvel comic fan in me, would have still been like, wow, that was probably the best of all the superhero movies I've ever seen. So congrats to Ryan. I think the man pulled off a touchdown with this one. So anyway, I'm about to go to bed. And you may be watching the recording. If you're watching the recording, then I'll probably still be taking a nap anyway. Also, don't forget, I had Dr. Claude Anderson in here. He's now part of the Black Business School. He did his first conversation recently. It was extraordinary. We're going to do this every week. We're going to do Powernomics, Black Labor, White Wealth Lessons, where I'm going to go right through his book, Black Labor, White Wealth, and kind of point out different sections and have him elaborate on this so that we can get real history and learn what it really means to be Black, what it really means to be strong, what it really means to build. He's actually going to do Powernomics certifications on the tour. If you want to know the tour cities we're going to, you can write this down. Go to the drboycewatkinstour.com. That's the drboycewatkinstour.com. You can see when we're coming to a city near you. We're going to add a few cities in there, and I'm going to bring Dr. Anderson with me to those cities. What else is going on? Beyond that, just make sure you subscribe, hit the like button, share button, all that stuff. If you haven't done that yet, make sure you subscribe. And your homework for today is go to Intellectual Chocolate, or go to your Facebook page, and ask a question related to this podcast and put the hashtag Intellectual Chocolate. The hashtag is Intellectual Chocolate, one word, and just ask a question and start a conversation. Let's encourage our people to be intelligent. All right, so let's see here. Clinton says, I paid for your How to Build a Business program. I want to start the stock market certification program immediately. What's my next step? If you want to take a look at our Black stock market program, our stock market certification class, go to theblackstockmarketprogram.com. The first month is totally free. That's theblackstockmarketprogram.com. And beyond that, I'm going to go, guys. So you'll hear from me again real soon, and I hope you guys have a good night. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.